The West Coast. Give it up, make some noise for Bill Shaw.
Yeah!
Bill.
Thank you, Roadside 22. So I had traffic school a few weeks back, and the instructor comes out, and the first thing he says is, what I want you to take away from this class is your bitches are the most important thing. And I'm like, did I hear that right? Turns out I was in trafficking school. And everything the guy said basically came down to that. And I don't want to brag, but I am a certified coyote now. So if you need some help getting people in the country, I'm your guy. So a little bit about myself. I'm close to 50 years old. I'm 58. I'm a lawyer by day. I do comedy at night. Here's a shocker, I'm divorced. But when I was married, my wife, she worked for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which was very gratifying work for her, incredibly stressful for me, because anytime she did something nice for me, I thought I had cancer. And when she started faking her orgasms, I thought hospice care was right outside the door. Another little fun fact about me is before I got into comedy, before I got into the law, I was in a pretty successful rock and roll band that a lot of you guys have probably heard of. I was the drummer for the Cars for Kids band. We had one hit, 1877 Cars for Kids. Everybody's annoyed by that song, right? Yeah. I had to get out of that band because I developed a little bit of a substance abuse problem. I was always the guy with the straw or the needle trying to get into that juice box. Apparently juice box humor is not as funny as I thought, but no, I am single, I date, and at the beginning of the pandemic, I was dating this woman, and we were doing a distance relationship. She called it a distance relationship, I called it a restraining order. And she had to stay 300 feet away from me, and it wasn't that I was in fear of my safety, it was that she was a little bit like Johnny Depp's ex-wife, Amber Heard. So it was more about protecting my stuff from her shit, if you remember the story correctly. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of women here. Maybe that one's not. maybe not. Maybe most of you are not fans of Johnny Depp. But no, more recently I've been dating this Chinese woman. Very smart, funny, pretty. We get along great. But here's what I've learned about Chinese women. They're kind of like Teslas. They're everywhere. They're a little overrated. And they probably shouldn't drive themselves. So she had a birthday coming up, and I said, hey, what would you like for your birthday? And she said, look, I want you to get me something that you put a lot of thought into, but also something that I need. So I got her some Ozempic. Yeah. It did not go over as well as I thought, and not surprisingly, I started seeing less and less of her ass, stomach, chins. That stuff really does work. No. Anyway, I was recently in Spain, and I met a friend of mine who lives in Bogota, Colombia there, and we had met through my volunteer work. I teach English as a fourth language. So, the students learn racial slurs, swear words, and a little dirty talk for the bedroom. On day 3 of our adventure, she gets falling down drunk to the point where I have to carry her to our apartments on the 3rd floor in a building that doesn't have an elevator. And if we learned anything from Emily in Paris, it's that the 3rd floor in Europe is the 4th floor here. So I'm going to carry this woman up 4 flights of stairs. And once we get up there, she strips down to just her panties, and she propositioned me. She offered her honor. I honored her offer. The rest of the night, it was on her. I said, no. I said, nothing happened. I said, you're in no condition to agree to anything. Do you even know my name? She said, Bradley Cooper. I'm like, okay, honest mistake. But now I'm torn because I got the devil on one side of me saying, hey, when's the next time this girl from Colombia is going to have an opportunity to add Bradley Cooper to her body count? And you want to deny her that pleasure. On the other shoulder, I got a pervy angel saying, don't do anything, but if you do, can I watch? Ultimately, I did the right thing. I let her sleep alone, in peace, And I have the pictures to prove it. Just kidding. No, come on. I have 5 sisters. I would never do that. And I'm Catholic. So, I recently had a birthday, and my girlfriend, she gave me 2 gifts. She gave me an air fryer and what she called special occasion sex, which is really close to regular sex. And I got to tell you, it was an amazing evening, one I will not soon forget. And I'll be honest, it was my first time, and I'm hooked. That air fryer can make salmon like you cannot believe. I mean, it's restaurant quality. And don't get me started on the buffalo wings or the Brussels sprouts. It's just the most amazing appliance ever made, right? But I'm a guy, I overthink things, and it turns out I have what's called Christopher Columbus syndrome. And that's where you want to be first at something, even though a lot of evidence suggests that you're not. And so I had a question about that night that was kind of grinding on me. You guys can probably guess the question I wanted to ask her. So one day I just said, hey, back on my birthday, was that the first time you ever, gave a guy an air fryer? And she said it was, and I believe her, but man, she knew how that thing worked right out of the box. Didn't even look at the owner's manual. That's what we in comedy call a metaphor. So if on the way home tonight somebody starts talking about an air fryer, know what they really are talking about? And if you want to shut that down, you just say, my ex borrowed the air fryer a couple of times while you were in Vegas with the boys, and it really hasn't worked the same since. And he's going to say, wait, your ex borrowed our air fryer? Are we talking about air fryers, or are we talking about air fryers? So, I got to check, I'm sorry. Okay, anybody here meet their mate, date, husband, wife on one of the apps, dating apps? Yep. Yeah. It's dark. I cannot see you guys, so it's like a round of applause. Yep. So, what's everybody looking for on one of the dating apps? Sense of humor, right? Yeah. Everybody wants a sense of humor. But you got to realize there's a difference between dating somebody. What was that? You didn't say big dick, did you? That's what I heard. I think. But, hey, shallow. Yeah, that's shallow, whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, everybody's looking for a sense. I mean, and the comic is always going to go for the laugh. Like my email address is smokinghotjvcheerleader@AOL.com. Just because I know someone's going to get a laugh when I say it. And the only reason it's Smoking Hot JV Cheerleader is that Smoking Hot Cheerleader and Smoking Hot Varsity Cheerleader were already taken. But it doesn't matter the situation. The comic is always going to go for the laugh. Like, once I was dating this woman, and she asked me, hey, do you have any sexual fantasies? And so I'm kind of torn. Do I go for the joke? Do I go for the truth? I'll let you guys decide which direction I went. So she says, do you have any sexual fantasies? I say, do you know any midgets? She had this coy little smile, and she goes, how did you learn about special occasion sex? Anyway, sorry. That's what we call one in work and development. We put that one back in R&D. If you ever bomb a joke, if you're just telling a joke, here's what you come back with if you ever bomb a joke. So these 4 hookers and an alligator get on a bus. That's the only part of the joke, but I gotta laugh at you, now you're back on my side. So, anyway, I have an aunt who's in her 90s, and she lives alone, and last summer, her air conditioner broke. And due to the gambling debts of 2 dead husbands, and a couple of vocational errors on her part along the way, she couldn't afford to fix it. So where does a 97-year-old go to find an alternative to an air conditioner? OnlyFans. She thought she was going to get a ceiling fan on OnlyFans. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. She has a new air conditioner. And this thing is putting out BTUs like you can, her house is so cold you can hang meat in it, okay? She also got a new Rascal scooter, and I think she got a boob job as well. I mean, she's 97, but she has the body of an 83-year-old. I don't go on that site, but, if somebody does, I know about trafficking because of my first joke, but I just want to make sure she's not being trafficked. Let me see. I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, I'll go this one. Years ago I was dating this Indian woman from a very traditional family, and we got into an argument, and she called me a misogynist. I never heard this word before, and I knew English wasn't her first language, so I said, I think it's pronounced masseuse. The look of disappointment, disgust, anger just shot right through me. But this wasn't the first time that I misunderstood a word that she had used. Like a few years back during the wildfires, she was telling me how the Forest Service was going to be using airplanes to drop retardants to put the flames out. I said, first of all, I don't think we're supposed to use that word anymore. And before I could say anything, she just shot me that look. We eventually broke up. It was mutual, and by mutual I mean she and her parents decided we would no longer see each other. Okay. So the last year and a half or so of my life has been interesting, if not a little bit tragic. In January of last year, I was riding my bike in Alamo. I got hit by an 80-year-old in a Buick. I got hit by a car. You're laughing? This is what we call a setup. And I'm going to get to maybe the funny part, but hey, some of us, whatever, that's real. Wait for the next one, okay? It's a real knee slapper, okay? Then on Valentine's Day last year, I had my heart broken. Literally, I had a heart attack. Laugh. And then, in March, I learned I had stage 4 tickets to Coachella, which turned out to be just a tent where regular people do karaoke, and it sucked. And I did have a heart attack, and I don't mean to pull at your heartstrings too much, but I am on the transplant list. It's for a hair transplant. But when you were voted best hair in high school and now you have this, it's a pretty traumatic event. No, after my heart attack, my doctor gave me a couple of recommendations. 1, stop salting your bacon. And 2, get a dog to help reduce your stress. So, full disclosure, I did not get one of these rescue dogs. I got one of these designer dogs, like a Labradoodle. Except mine's different, quite different, possibly disturbing. I got a Great Wawa, which is a Chihuahua Great Dane mix. It's about no, it doesn't exist, but give it time. A Kardashian will have one soon enough. No, I do like animals. I really like animals. Like Shark Week, love it. My favorite animal is the lion. So when I first learned about Pride Month, I thought it was all about lions. It's not. There's a lot of lion going on, but no lions. I went to one of their parades. They said there were going to be some bears there. I didn't see any. Didn't even see any cages. A lot of talk about closets, but no cages. So, okay. That's back in research and development. So I try not to swear in my act. No, that's just me. I think I've said one swear word and alluded to one other. But anyway, and bitches too, so 2. But when I was growing up, if you stayed away from the F word and the C word, you were going to go pretty far in your life. Now we have all kinds of taboo words. We have the N word. We have the R word. Same when you know them, but let's not turn it into a Trump rally. We have the M word. The old B word, the new F word, and I once even heard a U.S. senator talking about the W word, and I'm going, a 58-year-old white guy, racking my brain, what's the W? Starts with W, ends in back, okay? So, but some of these words are regionally offensive. So like, if you call a woman in Appalachia one of the S words, she might take it as a compliment. You use those same S words on a woman in LA, you're going to have a fight on your hands. So You guys all seem a little perplexed as to what the S words are. You call a woman from LA a 6 or a 7? You're gonna have and the way you get around that, just if you ever need to call a woman, rate a woman, all you have to do is pick a fairly high number and then proceed it with, you're like a Bakersfield 9. I know, I guess you guys, women, could use that, well, he had a Bakersfield 8. The scale goes both ways. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I have one more dating story, and it's more recent. I met up with this woman. We had a cocktail. Everything was going great. I said, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? She said, sure. I go, what do you feel like? She goes, not seafood. I'm like, okay, like German food? She's like, sure. And so I'm sitting there going, my questions and her answers aren't lining up in my head. And I'm like, are you saying not seafood, or are you saying not seafood? She goes, look, I don't eat anything from the ocean, but coincidentally, I hate Jews. I'm like, whoa. I can tell you right now, this is not going to work out between us. I'm a pescatarian. But if you know how an air fryer works, maybe we can find some common ground. Hey, my name's Bill Schott. I do stand up. Thank you.